Tell you what, you wouldn't want to live next door to them, would you? The Editors are in town. The band from Birmingham formed in 2002 and since then have released 6 top 10 albums, 2 of those reaching #1. They're touring around the UK amid the release of their latest album, Violence, and Elliott and Ed join me in the studio. Guys, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you very much, yeah.
Anyone from Birmingham's okay with me?
That's very good of you to say.
So, what was it like early days when you first got together then? Was it something you always wanted to do, or did it just sort of happen overnight?
We've got quite a sort of stunted career path, really. We've had a couple of new members here and there, and we formed, goodness only knows how many years ago, coming up to 20 years ago now, so we've been about the block a bit.
Yeah, because a lot of, when you reach success, some people think it's sort of overnight success, but you do have to work. You have to put the work in.
Oh, of course, and you go through different stages of maturity as a band, and I think at the moment we're probably the happiest we've ever been.
Oh, that's good. One of my colleagues from BBC Television upstairs, when he knew you were coming in, he said he saw you at the Art Centre here in Norwich.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before, actually.
Yeah, and it was just before you went kapow and took off. What was that feeling like?
Well, I wasn't in the band then, so we were just discussing places that the band had played in Norwich and stuff, and talking about that show at the Art Centre, which I played before as well. It's a great little venue, actually.
Yeah, beautiful place to play, and we'll hopefully play it again at some point. A special, like a nice special show at some. You never know.
But what I love at that place is quite often whoever's performing goes into the bar during the intermission or at the end and just sort of chills out with the people.
There's not much else space to hang around there, so the bar's kind of your only bet. But we've done the UEA a few times, and it's a pretty special venue. I think it has. I actually grew up in Ipswich. So I came up here for a number of shows when I was growing up, and I've got fond memories and not so fond memories. I got chucked out of an ash gig for crowd surfing once. Weirdly, they played last night and I nearly went to that, but I chose not to.
I haven't done crowd surfing ever because, well, I used to be about 3 stone heavier than I am now, so you'd probably kill someone if you did crowd surfing. What's it like then when you sort of...
it's one of the best feelings when you're a 14-year-old.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, to be fair, we've had a couple of crowd surfers on this tour, which is unusual for us. It seems to be having a rise in popularity again.
Because you never know whether to applaud them or congratulate them, because you don't want everybody else to start doing it.
Exactly.
This is the thing.
Exactly. I mean, it definitely gets tougher when crowds are a bit more spaced out. You see a lot of people land towards their head, which is quite dangerous.
It's not terribly good, is it? No.
Not recommended, but for a 14-year-old, if you're light as a feather, it's all right.
Well, I was when I was 14. It all went horribly wrong shortly after that, to be fair. So what was that like if you just go back to like the moment when it all took off for you? Because after all the groundwork, all the writing, all the hard work you put in, and then suddenly it started to happen.
It doesn't really feel like a massive shift, to be honest, because you work your way up around the venues, you do all your touring. We've not ever just concentrated on the UK either. We've sort of gone abroad a lot. We've worked in Europe as much as we possibly can, because I think you got to have broad horizons as a young band, and you don't just want to have all your eggs in one basket. You want to go and experience different cultures and different places to play. So yeah, we've been lucky enough to become a big band over in Europe.
I listen a lot to Dutch radio, and I know that the sort of music you're playing is really big over there at the moment. And and I'm happy to say there's a lot of sort of almost aggressive music. It's got a real edge to it, real powerful stuff at the moment, which has been a long time coming. Because I thought 15 years ago the charts were just very samey, but now there's a lot of variety there, and you're making a big difference.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I think our last record's a real. That's 6 records in, but it's a real combination of everything we've learnt up to this point. And we worked with some really interesting people in terms of acoustic production and electronic production, got some really aggressive sounds on there. So, yeah, I like to think we're a big part of that.
And what about chances to sit down and write? Do you wait for moments of brilliance to pop up in your head, or do you set time aside to actually write?
Well, we don't do anything on tour. I don't think you can sort of put so much effort into a live show and all your energy into that and actually have sort of real creative writing periods on tour. So we kind of have to have a bit of time off to do so.
Is there a moment when you're on tour? Because I'm a creature of habit, I'm afraid. I mean, if you do a radio show, you tend to be. And at the end of the show, I like to go home and do the usual stuff. But what's it like for you when you're on the road and you can't, at the end of the day, when you finish your show, go home and do your usual stuff? Every night's a different night.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but I think, the places change, but the routine sort of ends up the same, and kind of, you know, the time to wake up, we have lunch at this time, and, you know, we have a lot of free time to hang out and do things. And, you know, I think on the road you try and stay fairly active and fairly fit. If you can go for a run or do something like that, then it's quite nice. It's a good way to see cities as well, and just get out and try and get amongst it, really.
We tour a ping pong table as well, so we're constantly on that, trying to find a spot in a venue where we can put it that's not too affected by all the lights flashing on and off all the time.
It's a part of the act.
Yeah, that'd be all right, actually, maybe.
The only danger of going for a run when you're on tour is going out for a run and then forgetting how to get back.
Yeah, which has happened a couple of times, especially if you don't have a phone on you, or turning back up at the venue with all your running stuff on and not having a pass, and then, you know, they're just like, you can't come in.
You are kidding me. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, because, you know, not everyone on the door knows who you are or whatever, and, you know, you just turn up in all your running gear and stuff, and, yeah, it's quite an easy mistake to make. You have to try and convince them.
Yeah, I suppose if I was door security and you turned up in your running kit, you pull the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the way it should be. You know, we don't want any Tom, Dick, and Harry coming in. So.
No. You've got to have a little bit of decorum, a little bit of class. I don't like to ask this question, but has there ever been trouble? You know, when you're out doing a gig, because you've been doing it for so long, there must have been moments when something's kicked off.
There was a fight in Leeds.
There was a bit of a fight in Leeds. Yeah, I mean, just you don't know what's happening. You know, you get a bunch of people who've been drinking all Saturday, and inevitably there's some idiot also in the crowd. But hopefully it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen a lot with our gigs. Yeah, to be fair, our fan base are they're a pretty nice bunch.
Yeah, too right.
And they're just there to have a good time, really, rather than sort of cause aggro or anything. So
no, I just get over emotional and have to leave. Back in the day, when I was in my 20s, I used to go to the UEA, and there was a couple of nights I went up there and I didn't even get to see who was on stage. I just peaked too early.
Good.
Got lost walking home. All the usual. So
we're learning a lot about you today.
Do you guys like going out on gigs as well? Watching other people perform?
Yeah, I mean, when we're off tour, I get quite jealous, actually. You know, especially if we've been out for a while and not gigged for 6 months or so, watching a band, you just get that pang of like, we should be doing this. I know how that feeling is. It's very addictive. You know, we've done thousands of gigs, and the feeling of that sort of rapture you receive from a good crowd is pretty unlike anything else.
When you walk out, it must be great when you walk out. They welcome you to the stage.
Usually at the end of a show, when people have gone through all their emotions and gone through, you know, because we've got sort of 14, 15 years worth of material, and people have sort of songs they get really attached to, and you can feel like an emotion from them during it. It's pretty amazing.
It must be a great feeling knowing that you actually have that effect on other people's lives, that they're actually using your material, your songs, your performances. It's in their head when they go out running.
Wow, it is. It certainly is.
It's pretty crazy.
Well, that's the thing about music. That's why it's probably why you're in this business as well. It's like a love of music and the attachment that people get towards songs.
And at a gig, I've noticed, I don't get out as much as I should, really, but I love the idea that cigarette lighters have now been replaced by mobile phone lights.
Yeah.
The only problem is no one's got a picture of it at the end of the night.
Yeah, exactly. Although I prefer that to people just sitting on their phone the whole time taking pictures and stuff, which, you know, well, it's a par for a course, but you know,
and there's people who video the whole thing, and I think, well, just put your phone down, just watch the live act, just watch the live show.
Well, we all think that.
Mind you, me only being 5'7", it's quite handy if someone taller than me has got their phone out, so I can actually see their phone and see what's happening. Happening on the stage. And when it's all over, is it just straight back to your hotel, straight back to your accommodation, or do you like to whoop it up a little bit?
We like to kick around the venue for a bit and have a few drinks and stuff. I think you just decompress, and that's good to do as a band together and sort of discuss things and just have a laugh about it. Otherwise, you know, you can go back to your hotel, and that juxtaposition of being in front of a load of people and the raptures of then being silent in your hotel room sometimes is quite like daunting.
I suppose you have to sort of you can't just go down
So I think
can that affect you? I mean,
yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a certain amount of self-management you've got to do. You know when to go out and enjoy yourself, but you also know when to sort of try and. You've got 3 gigs in a row, so you need to make sure you're good for all 3, not just the first one, and max it out. We've also, because it's probably been our busiest and best UK tour for years. We've got a lot of people around, sort of friends and family after shows now in every city. So there's been a lot of catching up.
Yeah.
And with the social media and obviously getting face to face with people, it must be great to sort of talk to your admirers, your fans. As we've already said, your music means such a lot to so many people.
Well, there's a whole gaggle of fans, not just from the UK but from Europe, who've come across and watched a lot of these shows, and a lot of them in a row. And we meet a lot of them after the show actually, and they hang around for, it can be up to a couple of hours before we come out of the venues, and just to feel that emotion from them, and they're just delightful to talk to.
And they're all getting on, and they've got this like little community thing going on. They kind of have their own after show after gigs and stuff. It's fun. It's good.
That's sweet. That's sweet. It must be great for them. For anyone, if your music heroes come and actually say hi to you, spare a little bit of time. It's not that they don't want to. Sometimes it's because they're just so busy. But it's lovely when you get that moment, isn't it?
Yeah. And we've definitely come to think of a few of them as friends, without a doubt, because we see them that much and we know that much about them and have that good communication.
In a minute I'm going to play Cold. What's the future, the next sort of 6 months, 12 months for you guys?
We're going to Mexico soon.
Yeah, very soon, a couple of weeks.
And then we've got a European tour which takes us through to the end of this year, and then we're kind of discussing a few things for next year.
And whereabouts
you can't talk about too much.
Just dangle that carrot. You're coming here, dangling your carrot. Don't tell us all the story. Where are you going in Europe then?
Oh, all over. I mean, we've got some gigs sort of in Poland and Italy and
Germany,
loads in Germany. We're going back there. It's kind of our second. This is our first UK tour of this record, but it's our second European tour. So we're going to kind of the places that we didn't get to cover in the first one.
All right, you two, thanks so much for coming in to see us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a great show at the university tonight, and as I say, I'll play you Cold. This is Editors. Here we go.